I would just like to start off by saying that I was today years old when I learned that Ty Pennington was a real person.
A very, very famous person, in fact.
Unsurprisingly, I thought he and Extreme Home Makeover were made up.
They were cultural milestones in America.
Unsurprisingly, I was not aware of this. I mean, obviously, I knew that home makeover shows existed, and I knew the bus thing. I knew the bus gig.
Move that bus.
Yeah, move that bus. I did recognize that. So I've probably seen the show, and I say probably, I've definitely seen the show, and I've definitely seen it at my parents' house in between tours, because that's the kind of thing that's just always on TV.
Yeah.
You know, you're just like flipping through and someone's watching it or whatever. But I thought that Always Sunny made up their own version to talk about.
Yeah. Nope, Ty.
And I thought they made up a host to talk about, to be obsessed with.
Wild card, bitches!
You are listening to It's Always Stockholm in Los Angeles / Las Vegas. I am your main host, Will Noon. Along with me is my assistant junior editor and sometimes intern, Nate Harold.
Let's just call it for what it is. It's an unpaid internship.
All right.
You
right,
gotta
true.
you gotta pay your dues, and I'm paying those dues.
It's true. And you're doing a great job, buddy.
Oh, thanks.
You gotta encourage them.
We are talking about It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Season 4, Episode 12, The Gang Gets Extreme, Home Makeover Edition. Written by Charlie Day, David Hornsby, and Glenn Howerton. So you want to get through this synopsis?
Oh, right. Yeah, totally.
Here's where the music starts.
So just in case someone hasn't seen the show, which, again, we've said it a million times, would be fucking mind-boggling. But for a refresher, let's say, we open with the after effects of Dee having read The Secret and getting the gang all fired up about getting all the shit they want just by making a vision board. Charlie's really excited about the show Extreme Home Makeover, or something like that with Ty Pennington, so they decide to use that idea to gain karma for their vision boards. The unfortunate victims that are chosen is the Juarez family down the block, so they are at the mercy of the gang as they try to do a home makeover and family makeover. So the gang goes over and abducts them to the soundtrack of a sweet metal tune. Also, did you, by any chance, get any info on this song?
No.
I tried, but it was hard. Apparently, it's called Get Out by Literally Illiterate. So I'm curious if this is like someone made it for the show.
Sounds like it.
You know, like Charlie and his friend, or Charlie who sat there in Pro Tools or something. So Charlie and Dennis get to work remodeling the Juarez family's house while their foreman, Frank, sleeps and then is eventually fired. At first they smash stuff, then they try to knock down a wall with like axes and hammers and stuff, and it's not working. Finally, they attempt a controlled burn with a blowtorch. Meanwhile, Dee and Mac are holding the Juarez family captive for their personal makeover over at Frank and Charlie's apartment. Dee acts as the translator while they attempt to make the Juarez family more Americanized. Frank ends up filming the whole thing, and finally the big reveal when we see a pile of burnt rubble. We can only assume that the controlled burn wasn't so controlled. The court ends up giving the Juarez family Dee's recently inherited mansion, so everything is wrapped up nicely at the end of the episode.
I saw a review of this episode from when it aired, and the writer said that the judge must be very familiar with sitcoms because it's tied up so nicely, or like a sitcom judge or something like that.
Right.
Because it is like seemingly very fast and like a very interesting exchange of goods.
Right.
Property.
It's a very what wasn't King Midas? What king was it who like the eye for an eye kind of like let's cut the baby in half, and that's how you.
Yeah, it's a biblical judge.
Yeah. Let's say that.
Yeah.
It's a very biblical. It's a first book kind of vibe.
Exactly. Old Testament style. Right. So in this episode, we have some alliances. But again, in Always Sunny tradition, like it's sort of fluid. We have Dennis and Charlie as the heads of the home makeover.
Mm-hmm.
We have Mac and Dee as the heads of the family makeover.
Mm-hmm.
Frank starts with the home makeover. He's the foreman, obviously.
Obviously.
He shifts over to the family makeover briefly until he gets stabbed.
Of course, huh?
And then he does the role of I don't know how to explain it. He wants them all to fail. He knows they're all going to fail, and he wants to relive it over and over again. So he starts filming, knowing the gang is going to fuck everything up.
Well, yeah. Frank suffers from a little bit of the same delusion that everyone does. So he gets excited about the idea.
Mm-hmm.
But the warthog comes out when he realizes how badly this is going to end for everyone.
Right.
And when that happens, yeah, he's like, okay, I see what's happening. I've snapped back to reality. I'm just going to get the camcorder out and film this because it's going to be great.
His initial drive to be a part of this, because it doesn't really seem like something Frank would do to help people. He doesn't believe in their vision boards. The only reason he gets involved is so he can screw Dee over. Which is amazing.
I want in on this so I can screw over Deandra.
I believe she says that she's operating on a higher vibration, so her energy is going to cancel out his positive vibes.
Yeah, he takes serious offense at her saying that she has more positive vibes than he does, which is well, yeah.
Yeah, but then, so that gets him fired up, and he joins the gang to use positive karma to screw his daughter over.
Yeah.
And it's probably worth mentioning that, which I think I skipped, he's probably especially, spiteful and angry towards Dee at this point because she inherited the house just recently because Dennis allowed Frank on the premises, which was part of the, will clause.
Right.
So Dennis inherited the house from Barbara, then he allowed Frank on the premises. So somehow the court took it back from him and gave it to Dee.
Right. But it's interesting because if I'm remembering correctly, when they're reading the will, Dee gets, and I'm quoting, nothing.
Deandra,
Yes.
You get nothing. You were a disappointment and a mistake.
A mistake? We're twins.
So I guess it's interesting that...
Oh, right. Well, she did mention that...
Next of kin.
Next of kin.
Right.
So I guess the will stipulated that Dennis got it, but not if he let Frank in. So when the court took it away, I guess it was... I don't know how this would happen, but they treated it as if he died.
Right.
And his property went to the next of kin.
It's probably the same judge that gave the Juarez family the house.
Yeah, exactly. The biblical sitcom judge.
Let's see. I guess we could touch on the theme of this episode. What do you think is the theme?
I think the theme is helping people and Sears.
I love the Sears stuff.
That show's about how awesome Sears is! And how much Sears products save people's lives!
Yeah, well, we'll get to it, but that is my favorite scene of this episode.
Yeah,
aside from the jean shorts, obviously.
Right, totally.
I was just going to say the theme to me is kind of like a karma, but many different forms of karma.
Yeah.
Giving and taking away.
You could say that this is like a true representation of karma because people are trying to use karma for the wrong reasons.
Right.
So it ends up kind of biting them in the ass, which sort of is
karma. Right.
But also they're just being it's idiotic to think that you could burn down a wall.
Right.
Or that you could remodel a house with no experience and no budget.
It's a controlled burn. I don't know how idiotic a controlled burn is.
Okay. I mean, I understand where you're coming from. Charlie did have the fire extinguisher, and he was going to keep it contained within the parameters of the wall.
There was a lot of jargon being used incorrectly, and
have that extinguisher ready, because I don't want the fire to spread past the parameters of this wall.
I will create a parameter with a fire extinguisher.
The only safe way to do this.
It'll be perfectly safe.
So yes, I understand the karma, but it's also no, I don't know. They're just being dumb. All right, from the top, what do you got? What do you got for me?
Well, off the very, very top, Mac has a line that kind of like sums up the whole episode early on, where he's talking about The Secret, which is a book. I've never read it, but
I think it is a book. Yeah, it seemed in the early 2000s it became pretty popular. Like I feel like earlier tour, not early, but like early to mid 2000s, there was a lot of people on tour talking about The Secret.
So yeah, there's a couple things that Max says that in one breath that kind of sum everything up, because he says,
yeah, The Secret is a self-help book that Dee read and explained to us. It's about how you can get whatever you want without having to work for it.
I mean, they do put in some effort in this, but again, like you said, it's for the absolute wrong reason.
Wrong reason, but I don't think that's why it goes awry. It's just the way they're doing it. They're just doing a terrible job at it. But we do see the Max interpretation of The Secret get corrected pretty soon.
Right. I just thought that like it's just I'll put it in the audio because it's like
it's
2 sentences.
Succinct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty good. For a second, I thought you were going to go with the Danica Patrick while drunk on a dune buggy in the
Dune
Sahara.
buggy? Yeah, the way he says dune buggy, I had that written down. He says it with a very Philly accent.
And I'm going to impregnate Danica Patrick while getting drunk in the Sahara Desert on a dune buggy.
Well, I guess it's hard for me because I don't hear the Philly accent sometimes because I spent so much time there. But yeah, it sounds weird. By the time he gets to the end of his sentence, it sounds like he's like running out of steam or energy or breath. But I thought for a second that was what was going to set the tone for the episode, which kind of
yeah, I mean, I guess like the overall stupidness of his vision board.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's like that sort of explains the show without explaining the show.
Right. Another thing about this first scene is Dennis having the yellow Lamborghini on the vision board.
The Countach?
Which is obviously, I mean, it kind of works because there is a yellow Lambo in his near future.
Burn up the rubber with my Lamborghini.
Right, yeah, this is where we see Dennis, or where it's revealed to us that Dennis has always wanted a Lamborghini Countach.
And of course, Charlie is obsessed with Ty Pennington.
Yeah, that's the best. We don't hear anything else that he wants except for Ty.
See how I got all these sweet pics of Ty Pennington from Extreme Home Makeover? I'm going to become like him. I'm going to have that dude's life.
I probably should have paused it and zoomed in or something, but did you see anything else on their vision boards that was like cool or interesting?
Well, I guess it's not probably maybe in this scene, but it's right after the credits. Dee's vision board has tons of cash.
Yeah, I did see that.
The bottom half is all piles of cash.
That does make sense because she may have had a different vision board prior, but now she states right after that scene is that she needs money to pay the property taxes.
Right. So
for that new house.
That, and then thinking ahead to Charlie's mom has cancer, where the property taxes come up again. They're one of the people on this show has a real issue with property taxes.
Well, you could think that, and it's probably true because a lot of people do. But I was reading that the show Extreme Home Makeover, or whatever the real show is, that actually happened a lot. It was like, I guess it was like an issue, or like people would fault the show because a lot of these families, like, they were given basically, I don't know if it was like a new house or if it was just like, you know, they had like a 1,300 square foot house and they like knocked it down and redid it. So when the tax assessor came,
oh shit,
their house was now valued at like 3 times the value. So instead of paying like $4,000 a year, now they're paying $12,000 a year, and they couldn't afford it. So they literally had to sell the new house. They couldn't stay in it.
God, that's
it was like
awful.
That was like a real thing that kept happening to these people.
Be careful what you wish for.
Right. I mean, you also like went from having a $200,000 house to like a $600,000 or $800,000 house that then you could then sell.
Sure.
For a bunch of money. But if you like,
if you don't want to move,
living there, if you had a job, if your kids were in school, if you're old and you just lived your whole life,
that's
in a
sad.
place. But I think that was a reference sort of to the show. Almost.
I see. That makes sense.
And to like the real world experience that people had in that situation.
Yeah, that's like on like game shows. Like we talked about Price is Right a little bit last week, but doesn't that happen a lot? Like people win a car and then it's like, well, how the fuck am I going to pay the tax on this? Like they just sell it.
A new car!
Yeah, exactly. Or I think I've never been on a game show, but I've heard that they sometimes offer you like a really small cash equivalent, a brand new Buick Enclave, and Buick pays them like $5,000 or whatever for them to have it, and then they offer the person like, hey, you can have the car, but it's a $20,000, $30,000 car. You're going to have to pay $7,000 because like your sales tax and all these fees. And you're like, wait, I didn't want a new car.
A new car!
Okay, so I spend $7,000, then I have a car and it's new and blah blah blah. Like maybe I'll just sell it, but they're like, or we could just give you $15,000. Like, or we, it's like it's what you would have kind of made out with anyway,
Right? If you would have
it's like
sold the car for much less than
exactly. Do you want to talk about the abduction scene?
Yeah, I do want to talk about the abduction scene.
Did I skip something?
Well, real quick, I did want to, because it has something to do with the abduction scene. I was going to talk about the great interaction that Dennis and Charlie have with Mac. When
right.
Mac is expressing some frustration about being cast aside to Dee's family makeover team because he's too competitive, and then he instantly proves them right.
Of course, because he's a way better smasher than they are.
Right.
Family a makeover with D. No, I want to be a part of the renovation team.
I know you do, but the thing is...
You get so excited about the smashing, and then you make it competitive.
You turn it into a competition.
That's bullshit, because I'm a better smasher than you guys. I should be on the head of the smashing team. You want to have a smash off? I'll prove to you.
Smash off?
You can't even help yourself, can you?
Okay, fine.
We have seen him smash. He's great. He's a great smasher.
Right. What is that? Charlie McDennis?
It's when they get held hostage by
held hostage.
You know what, man? You are an excellent smasher.
I forgot to mention it, but also I thought it was great when he said, I guess that's before the credits. What would Ty Pennington do?
Yeah.
WWTPD.
I mean, yeah, I guess we didn't talk about that, but that is like a joke opening where the punchline is the episode title, kind of. It's like, it's probably funnier at the time that came out because that was such a popular thing. But watching that today, I was like,
yeah.
Yes, so the abduction scene.
Yeah.
It starts out great. Dee is wondering how important the blindfolds are because she doesn't have them.
Okay, but here's the thing. I couldn't find any blindfolds per se, but I did bring some plastic bags.
Yeah, that's like a real Guantanamo Bay style image that they end up making with the plastic bags.
Yeah, one probably could have predicted how it was going to go from that clue.
Right. She's going to put plastic bags over their heads.
Right.
She does allude to making holes so they can breathe, but we're still talking about plastic bags on the heads of this family that they're doing something...
Unsuspecting family. Yeah, so I think this scene is great. I just think the music that, for some reason, Dennis has playing... It's some sort of thrashy, noisy, metally thing. The choppy, film production. I don't know, film speed. I don't know.
Yeah. It's. I don't know anything about film production. I'm not sure that you do either. It to me the frame rate changed, so it was like a strobe effect almost.
Yeah, exactly. So it's. I don't even know if it's the frame rate itself changing or if they. If they cut out certain numbers of frames.
But it's a frame rate change if you have less frames per
less frames,
second.
But you could be taking out 2 every 3, or you could be taking out different things.
Right, but that's what I meant.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Okay, so if you were in music production, you wanted something to sound choppy, you wouldn't just change the frame, not the frame rate. What would that be? The sample rate. Mm-hmm. If you edited out every other. If you edited out chopping and whatever.
Sure, I know what you mean. But it is cool. It's like a real action. I can't think of what you've seen this effect before in action movies or something.
It's like a shaky cam plus this frame rate issue plus Dennis sticking his tongue out like a lizard plus the metal music, and some of the lines that they throw in here are amazing. It'll probably be chaotic to put them in, but you'll have to do it anyway. But
it'll sound like shit, but it'll
of my favorites
drive the point home.
Some of my favorites are "Wake Up, My Brown Friend, It's Time to Change Your Life," followed by right after that a bunch of things. I don't know. It's indiscriminate yelling, but then he says, "Where's your wife and where's your daughter?"
Yeah.
Which is terrifying in this situation when someone breaks into your house and there's metal music playing and
the
black
tone
figures are
the tone that they were probably going for and the tone that they ended up with are very different. You might even say they're opposite.
Yeah, they were probably going for an exciting, fun thing, and they just have a terrifying.
They're all wearing black hoodies.
Yep.
They're running and chasing and putting in like arm locks and asking about this man's wife and daughter. And
I'm terrified for them.
Dee says, "You can't run from the kindness of strangers."
Yeah, she's got the wife arm barred up against the wall, and she says, "Hold still. You can't run from the kindness of strangers." Anyway,
one quick thing, I do want to just say that there was a real Leroy Jenkins vibe at the beginning of this, where they're talking about the blindfolds versus the garbage bags, and Mac just runs in and smashes through the door with that amazing bowling ball chain combo.
Right, the wrecking ball.
Yeah, exactly.
It does kick off like Ready or Not, Here We Come. It's pretty great. It's a great scene overall.
Yeah, and it's very it's a very unique Sunny scene. Like they haven't done anything else like that, where the tone shifts so crazy, and then just goes back to normal.
And finally, we've talked about everyone's great moments, but Charlie is the announcer with the bullhorn, and I don't know, he's got like a Good Morning Vietnam kind of announcer vibe.
The problem is that you and I don't know this show well enough, but I was guessing that was how they did it on Extreme Home Makeover.
Oh,
like good morning, blah, blah, family. I'll look it up, but
okay.
I was assuming it was a reference to that.
Good morning, King family! Curtis, Alicia, Jessica.
I didn't think about that. I just heard that drawn out like good morning
Good
something.
morning. Yeah. And
sounds like
when you go on Ty Pennington's Wikipedia, you see a picture of him with a bullhorn.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Charlie would want to do.
Exactly. After the groups are split up and the Juarez family is back at Charlie and Frank's apartment, all of a sudden, Dee knows Spanish.
Well, I think it's important to say that she actually says in this episode,
Somebody took a couple years of Spanish in high school.
Oh,
so.
But seemingly it wasn't her, because 2 episodes ago she didn't know Spanish.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, that rudimentary Spanish level probably would have, or maybe not. Maybe this is proving the point of her not being able to read the collagen label.
It seems like she's pretty good at communicating.
Yeah,
like
she's getting the wrong point across, but she's like,
yeah, like it's sort of similar to the abduction scene, but better in that what they're saying and what's being received are 2 different things.
Right.
But she knows all the words, kind of.
Yeah, there's a bluntness to the sentence construction that makes it sound threatening, especially to people who have just literally been abducted.
Yeah, when someone is kidnapped and blindfolded and abducted to a new place, and then someone says, "Your house is no more, your life is no more."
Right. How are you to interpret that?
She didn't finish it by saying, "Your house will be better. We are here to make your house better. We are here to make your lives better. We are not going to kill you."
Right.
But yeah, I think that's just a clerical error, or like, I don't think she knew the same amount of Spanish 2 episodes ago.
Right.
Than she does today.
I referenced it earlier, but my favorite scene in this episode is at the Juarez family with Charlie, Dennis, and Frank. Frank just took a nap, and I guess he's wearing Mr. Juarez's shirt.
The night shirt is amazing.
Totally sure, but he looks amazing. And anyways, it's Charlie and Frank arguing about what Extreme Home Makeover is.
That show is just a bunch of manipulation to get people to cry. And then they trick the viewers into buying shit.
Charlie has fully been brainwashed by the show to believe that like Sears is this altruistic source of good in the world, where Frank's being like, no, they just trick people into buying shit. And then, Charlie instantly rebuts it with exactly what Frank just said.
Yep.
And then it just like, fumbling towards the end of the argument, and he's like, he's looking at Dennis. His eyes are asking for help, and he says,
But I get very passionate about Sears. No, I mean, extreme homemade. I mean, what?
Helping people.
Helping people.
Yeah, that's my favorite part, is that he's like so riled up and he forgets the real reason. He's just got like the triggered response.
right.
Also, I love Dennis's reaction in that situation. He's like, first he's like trying to calm him down. He's on his side and he's giving him like a neck massage, back massage kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And then towards the end of it, he just like does like a one arm back hug and gives him a little tap on the chest. Very sweet, very tender.
Very sweet. Yeah. After they kick Frank out, he goes to his apartment. This is a great scene where he, again, this like bluntness and the language barrier, where Frank's like holding the scissors at Mrs. Juarez, and then he's like, "What's the word for cut?" And then he just like barks it at her.
Corta!
She assumes that he's going to cut her.
Right, corta, like a threat. It is weird when she takes it and just stabs him immediately, but it's funny.
It's hard to say what you would do in that scenario, but this very tiny man is pointing something sharp at you and saying cut. So yeah, she stabs him, and then in typical Frank Reynolds fashion, he pulls a gun on her.
He immediately pulls a gun. I also thought it was funny rewatching this when he pulls the gun. He pulls it on the mom and the dad because they're working on a single vision board over to the right, and the daughter is working to the left on her vision board. So he pulls it on the mom and dad, and then the daughter actually like runs into frame, like into the view of the gun.
I noticed that too.
And I could interpret it that she's like trying to protect her mother, like jumping in front of the bullet.
Had she stood in front of her, yes.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But she just kind of stands next to her and puts her leg against her.
They were like, you have to get in the frame. Like, it was like sitcom stuff. Here's your mark.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't
if
matter.
They had a little bit more space on set, like it would have made more sense. Like if Frank was like 5 feet behind where he was.
Right.
It would have made sense for them to like cower together. She has to like run past him and, like, into harm's way.
I noticed that as well. And then the scene ending with, again, Dee's stunted Spanish saying, "Don't make man hurt you."
Man is crazy with gun.
Yeah. But again, that's depending on, we know that Dee is trying to help. They think that they're going to die.
Right.
And so someone saying, "Don't make man hurt you," would be like, you are in danger.
Right. She's trying to say, I guess she's trying to get the scissors back.
Right.
And de-escalate. But yeah, she's really reinforcing the fact that they were abducted and they are potentially going to get hurt if they don't do the right things. Whereas she's trying to say like, no one's trying to hurt you. It's okay. Let's all calm down. Yeah. It was an accident. Do you want to talk about Retta?
Well, yeah, I was going to ask if you want to talk about Charlie's taco bed. So we're talking about the same thing here.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, that interaction is just ridiculous.
Well, what does a little Mexican girl love more than anything else in the world?
Tacos.
Tacos, buddy. So why not make for her a taco bed?
Yeah, the gang is really on the same wavelength some episodes.
Yeah, his breakdown of the taco bed is awesome. You got the green for the guacamole, and she's got brown pajamas.
And I got these cute little brown PJs so that she gets to feel like ground meat while she's sleeping.
She's the ground meat in the middle.
She's the ground meat in the middle.
I like that, man. That's a good idea.
That was the best part, I think.
That's so adorable. So they're at the hardware store. They're buying all their supplies for their extreme home makeover. And Retta from Parks and Rec is the cashier. She does a pretty good job. She just seems nonplussed. She seems over it. She doesn't care.
But also, what the fuck are these guys talking about?
I guess it's basically a pretty good reaction to the craziness that they're bringing in.
It's a very realistic reaction because they're like, "Don't you have a button to push for the?"
We're performing an extreme home makeover. So do you not have a button?
Yeah. And she's like, "We don't just give stuff out." Then Charlie goes back to his Sears thing.
Sears does this, okay? Sears gives people stuff. Sears doesn't get anything out of it.
Well, Sears would do it.
He can't get away from that. He just does not understand advertising.
Why would they not do this? Sears does it. Sears is a good company. Are they not a good company? Why would this hardware store not give them free stuff? They're trying to do a good thing. It's a legit operation, They have a vision board and everything.
Yeah. I love the Frank move out of both of the alliances into just like pure humiliation, and he's doing like kind of like a documentary for himself, so he can see them fail and he gets to watch it over and over again. But he's not being a fly on the wall. He is suggesting,
he's an instigator for sure.
He's suggesting things, and I mean it's just great to see the camcorder. Like it's always great to see that. It's still the same ridiculous, oversized,
taped shut.
But yeah, him filming the Mr. Juarez signing up for the credit card debt.
The reveal on that one is great too. I don't know if you noticed that, but it's kind of an Always Sunny reveal where they see, you kind of zoom out and you see Mr. Juarez signing his paperwork away, and they have a good discussion about how saddling someone with debt is the way to become American.
Of course.
The first step to becoming an American, get a credit card.
Oh, yeah, man, we need this guy to build up copious amounts of debt. That's the best way for him to build up his credit. We're doing him a favor.
Which is sort of weirdly true, but... And then they pull back and they show Frank hiding in the bushes a little bit.
Right.
And it felt to me like one of those Always Sunny reveals when they pull out and you see who's standing next to them. Before we leave this scene, I don't know if you're ready, but...
Go on.
Do you know that Retta from Parks and Rec and Always Sunny, obviously, her aunt was the president of Liberia?
Excuse me?
Yeah. Liberia, if you are not aware, is a country on the western coast of Africa. Mm-hmm. Capital city, Monrovia, which is fun. Mm-hmm. But yeah, her aunt was president. I guess it's her father's sister. It just reminds me that every time I see someone who's famous, there's some crazy lineage.
Yeah. Like what an overachieving family.
Jesus. Also, I think that when she did her first TV comedian show, it was like, like a competition show that was popular.
A stand-up, right?
Yeah. So there was like stand-up, and I think those comedy shows, it was like last comic standing. Right. Yeah. That sort of thing, and people vote. Mm-hmm. Apparently she's like the New Life Gospel Church member, that's what her family belongs to. Mm-hmm. And apparently their church, like everyone in like across the world voted for her. Like,
interesting.
Like, I guess it's a small enough thing where someone famous in that would be a big deal.
Right.
I don't know what numbers of religion, but if there's only like 200,000 of these people worldwide, whereas a major religion would have like 1 billion people.
Yeah.
It's a small, close-knit community, so they see her on TV and it like goes through the church and goes through the human telephone game and blah blah blah. So everybody was watching and everybody voted for her. So apparently like she had a huge groundswell support like just from her church.
Interesting.
So might have kickstarted her career.
Whatever works, I suppose.
So if you're a struggling comic, maybe join a small cult-like church.
I've heard Scientology is good.
I don't know. That one might be too big to really,
I was just making I was just making a joke.
I mean, but also, I don't know. There are a lot of actors and stuff, so maybe it's a good network.
That's what I meant.
I mean, Leah Remini left, and she hasn't really done much, has she?
It's a good point. Will.
I had a friend, actually, who was in Scientology, if you want to bring the Scientology people at us. And, it was a friend of a friend, and she told us stories about how they wouldn't, like, all of your money is in system. It's not like, you don't have, like, dollars. You have, like...
Oh, V-Bucks.
Basically, you have V-Bucks.
Patty's dollars.
When they run out of the booze, they'll come back in and they'll have to buy more Patty's dollars.
Right.
Keeping it moving.
That is assuming, of course, that they will come back here and drink.
They will. They will, because we'll redistribute these to the shanties, thus ensuring them coming back in, keeping the money moving.
Well, no, but if we just redistribute these, then people will continue to drink for free.
Okay.
How does this work, Mac?
The money keeps moving in a circle.
But we don't have any money. All we have is this.
Patty's dollars. Basically, it's like Bitcoin. It's fake money. You can't use it anywhere.
Right.
So when they were trying to leave, I guess they were trying to be subtle about it, but they would, my friend said when she was like a teenager, like a 14-year-old girl, she would go on cruises, and with her mom's account, she would buy jewelry, like on the cruise, so that they could take and sell
it. Smart.
Because that was like the only way where they could try to get their money out. Because you can't just start an account like a bank account with Chase and transfer your money from like the Scientology bank outside. Like they won't let you leave.
Right. Yeah, I tried that with V-Bucks and they said the same thing.
Chase was like, what do you want me to do? So I bought a skin and I tried to sell it to someone.
Didn't work. So I suppose we have to talk about the jean shorts scene.
Yeah.
It's great. I don't know what else to say about it. It's like a very popular moment in Always Sunny. As far as like, I don't know if I would call it a meme. I mean, I made a meme about it.
You made a great meme about
that I'm going to reuse again this week. But yeah, it's just really silly and goofy and like borderline has nothing to do with the show.
Right.
I don't know. Like, did they have that in the costume department and they were like, oh my God, that looks ridiculous. We have to use this. Or is it just like a bit?
I want to think that they were like, okay, for this next scene, I think it would be cool if we had like some jean shorts and, white t-shirts, like real like redneck construction outfit, let's do this. And I want to believe that someone cut the shorts like just comically too short for Dennis. Someone they were like, oh, cut these into jean shorts. And someone was thinking like, oh, well, I wear jean shorts. That would be this short. And then they handed them to Dennis and it was funny. And then they wrote the bit around that.
Right.
No clue why I think that, but I want to think that.
Sure, that makes sense. It's very funny. Dennis really can spread his legs out pretty far.
Pretty flexible.
And there's some good poses with it. And of course, Frank is recording the whole thing.
This is really all good shit. This is like gold.
Also, I think Dennis, this is some of his best acting, in my opinion.
Okay. Expand on that.
I don't know why, but he just seems so natural in this. He goes into like a mode. And he's like teaching Charlie.
Take the widest stance that you possibly can. Let me see what that
leg
like.
movement. This is
as wide as you
if
can.
I'm going wide and I'm being honest with you, I'm maxing out about here.
That's not bad. But check this out.
Go.
It's like very, I don't know if it's fatherly or like a teacher, or he's like a kind teacher or a father figure, and he's like explaining why his shorts have frays on are all frayed at the bottom. Because while Charlie bought blue jean shorts, Dennis bought blue jeans and cut them into shorts.
It's a classic rookie mistake.
Hence the fray. But yeah, just throughout the whole process, he's like very patient and he's explaining it step by step. And I don't know, there's just something really nice about it. And I think that's my favorite Dennis character thus far.
Yeah. It is funny to see him in that role, and it's so rare.
Before they move on to whatever's next, Charlie says, "Can I see that pose one more time?"
Got to do it again.
And then his reaction.
That I can go lower,
bro. That is badass.
There's also a funny Charlie line in right after this where they're still trying to break through this wall that they haven't made any progress on.
Right.
And I think he says it more than once in this episode. But Charlie says,
I was envisioning this being a lot easier than it's turning out to be.
Yeah. Oh, he also says that when Mr. Juarez is signing up for the credit card debt, he's like, or the store card, he's like, I was envisioning someone else paying for this, and he's like pointing at him behind his back.
Right.
It's just amazing. Like he's still really believing in the vision board and
vision board. Yeah.
This is where Frank kind of steps out of the pure documentarian and into the instigator.
Yeah, he is instigating here.
Use the blowtorch.
Use the blowtorch.
That's such a good line. The way he delivers it is so
good,
cute, and like it's like a little like a. I want to say Loki, but now he's like a Marvel character, so it doesn't. Yeah. Whereas before, wasn't he like a god of mischief or something?
Yeah, he's the god of mischief. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's.
I've played God of War.
That's the plan, or that's the vibe that I get from Frank. He's like, "Oh, use the blowtorch." He's so excited.
And he also suggests encourages them to bring in the neighbors to help.
Oh, right. That they need to do that before.
Another big part, yeah.
I think Charlie might, because Charlie's always been a little apprehensive about the blowtorch. I think one last ditch effort, Charlie says, let's bring in the neighbors, because I guess that's a part of Makeover, like the home makeover show.
Yeah. Again, we probably should have watched like an episode of this show. Whatever.
That would have been smart.
Yeah.
But whatever. I believe they like get the neighbors to help out because it's a cool thing, and you're like, hey, Bill,
it's a community.
Come over and help? Yeah. Like we're doing the backyard landscaping. Here, grab a paintbrush.
It's about togetherness and Sears, helping people.
Right. Sears.
Yeah, but that's just a really funny scene when they just steal everything. Like, yeah, of course that's what happens.
Yeah, I thought it was funny, but like they're stealing couch cushions like one at a time.
One at a time, yeah.
Like what? But I mean, whatever. I shouldn't say that because maybe that person is like literally homeless, and like that's an awesome couch cushion.
Yeah.
Way better to sit and sleep on than not. In that case, cool. And so, yeah, when the neighborhood help out doesn't change anything, they still have their wall, then it's time. It's time for the blowtorch.
Yeah, the desperation in Charlie's voice, where he like finally has to give in, like the blowtorch has got to be used, and Frank encouraging the backdraft.
Right.
Another amazing thing, and there's like a fake out.
Why don't you open that window over there and get a nice backdraft?
Now he wants to start helping
That's
us.
the first sensible thing you've said all day, Frank.
I went down a little mini rabbit hole on backdrafts, and
Wasn't that a movie in like the 90s or the 80s?
it was directed by Ron Howard.
All right, there you go. About firefighters.
Yeah, about firefighters. And a backdraft is a real thing.
Yeah. It's
So-
something to do with airflow.
Yeah, it is airflow. So when Frank suggests that they open a window to get a backdraft going, like that's sort of... He knows enough to know that it has to do with airflow, but that's not how it works.
Okay.
Because if you were to open the window, I think you'd get like a regular draft. Like you just get good ventilation. And if you
So
started
what is a
fire,
backdraft?
Right. So if you started a fire and open a window, air will come in because it's being burnt up in the room. So it'll like, like there's exhaust going out, and you would want fresh air to come in one side if you wanted the fire to do well. I guess sometimes you don't want the fire to do well, but
Right.
a backdraft situation occurs when a room is kind of mostly sealed, like doors, windows closed, but there's fire inside it. So the fire is burning material and whatever, and there's a lot of smoke and things happening. But when the fire runs out of oxygen, it'll sort of die down, but it doesn't fully die because there's a lot of heat and a lot of fuel. So it turns like more like embers. Like if a couch and a wall and a floor and if all those things are burning, the flames will go away because they don't have oxygen to like create flame, but they'll still have energy and they'll still be red hot and they'll be like basically coals.
Yeah.
So that's when there's not enough oxygen coming in, but the heat is still there and there's still a lot of like unburnt fuel in the air because that's what happens. Like it's creating fuel, but there's no oxygen to burn it.
Right.
So when you open the door,
I see.
you'll see all the oxygen and air rush in to meet all this hot air or hot fuel. And that's what basically immediately ignites and explodes.
I see.
And it's a pretty cool concept. Apparently, if the room was sealed and you went to look at the door from the outside, you'll see like puffs of smoke puffing like out and back in as like the air and smoke from the inside. Well, I shouldn't say air. The smoke inside is like pushing out, but then it needs oxygen. So it's like pulling oxygen back in.
Right.
So it's almost like the room is breathing. Like it's
Weird.
like pulling in a little oxygen and pumping out a little smoke. And it's
So
like,
scary.
It doesn't have an in and an outflow. And that's the fire person's telltale sign.
Right.
To like, yo, don't open that door. Like, or if you do, like, put a hole at the top so that the smoke can come out. Like, do it in the proper way so that you don't incur a backdraft.
Well,
Anyway,
I mean,
try to edit that down.
Regardless, like it seems like, I guess we're led to believe that there is some sort of a backdraft as we see in the second to last scene.
Yeah, I mean, backdraft or not, they were not. The controlled burn was not a good idea.
It was not controlled.
It was not a controlled burn.
Before we see the rubble of their house, back at the apartment, Max says that he's going to show them Apocalypto for like very racist and horrible reasons.
Right.
But that is the second Mel Gibson referenced, again by Mac. He talked about Passion of the Christ in, was that like season 1?
Well, was it him or was it the other person? Wasn't it the girl at the abortion clinic or no?
I don't remember who brought it up. Okay, well, it's the second one involving Mac.
Right.
So yeah, there must be like some sort of a joke happening there, making fun of Mel Gibson.
You are provocatively dressed all the time with your fake boobs. You feel you have to show off.
It's actually pretty interesting now that you're just saying it and I'm reacting to it, that when he tried to hook up with the chick from the abortion rally, like the pro-life person,
yeah,
she was super religious and he was like not into it, and he was like, oh, this crazy religious chick, I'm gonna try and bang her. But then he becomes super religious.
Yeah, he evolved.
It's very strange.
That is a good point.
He evolves on a lot of different levels. But anyway.
Yeah. I love Frank's enthusiasm and just sheer joy that he's experiencing as he's encouraging everyone to come down, put the bags on their heads.
Bag them and bring them with us. Come on. Yes, let's go. In fact, bag yourselves too, because I want this to be a surprise.
Still got the camera. He rented a bus because he's so happy and so excited about this.
He's going for it.
Everyone else is excited. Or we don't see the Juarez family, but we do see Mac and Dee also being excited. The bus moves. The rubble is smoldering. And Charlie is making the taco bed.
The taco bed seems to have survived really well.
It did. Yeah, it did.
And it actually doesn't look bad. Also, I know he just got the material, but I feel like I saw for a second the bed had some kind of shape, some rigidity. And it looked like it had slight grill marks.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
You know when you like toast the tortilla?
Yeah, of course. What a nice touch.
Some brown spots. I think there was some, although now that I'm saying it out loud, maybe that's where it got its toastiness. A little backdraft grill. Yeah, and then in this scene, Dennis is just like fumbling over the rubble. I guess
it's a very funny image.
It's a strange, I don't know what his direction was, but it's funny. Also, I was, at one point I tried to like keep an eye out for the settings, like, or the set of it.
Yeah.
And the neighbor's house is like red brick and it has like an AC unit in the window. And then there's like a metal pole in the sidewalk. And it really does look similar. I know you could probably fake that, but it really does look like the same. To me, it looks like the same house.
Was the key to that them doing the exterior at night? Because that's the only time we see the exterior, right?
Yeah. But how would that change anything?
Because you can't see the details.
Oh, no. You see the exterior during the day when the neighbors are coming in and out.
Well, then it was just a really good job.
I just don't know.
Location scouting was top notch.
Like, what if they found a house that was going to be demoed?
No, definitely not.
You don't think they could have been like, yo, if you let us like have like one little pile of rubble that looks burnt, we'll give you like $4,000.
I mean, okay,
for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, what do you pay for like a location?
Yeah, I don't know. Especially something like that where it's like,
what year was this?
2008.
Are we talking 2008, 2009?
Yeah, 2008.
Dude, a house that needed to be condemned in Philly would have been like $4,000.
Yeah.
They probably would have paid more if they found like a real house and then rented it for like 2 days of shooting and then an empty lot for 2 days of shooting and then put in a bunch of rubble.
You've convinced me.
They probably could have bought a house, demoed it, and then shot and then sold it as an empty lot for maybe a profit. I don't know.
Yeah, you could be right. I don't know.
2008.
You're the Philly expert.
Maybe it wasn't $4,000, but
the final scene, not much to be said about it. The joke being that their last name isn't Juarez, and of course Mac's last line.
Frank, I guess you're right. Secret's bullshit, huh? Yeah. You try to help people and you just wind up getting screwed.
Yeah, that's not really what happened.
No. What do you think, Will? What would you rate this episode?
Well, I'm going to say that when I break it down on like a molecular level, there are a lot of moments that I enjoyed. But overall, when I think back on this episode, it reminds me of the last episode, which is like a little, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
So this week, I'm just going to give it an A+.
Okay, I understand. I am going to give it a B+. I'm right there with you. I was more excited about this when I saw that this was the next episode, and then like after I watched it the first time, I was like, "It's good." The Gene Shorts bit is probably like the most memorable thing, which has really very little to do with the plot of the episode.
Right.
But it's funny the obsession with the vision board and like not understanding the concept of it. Is,
the karma and stuff. Yeah,
it is a funny concept, and it's a
meat and potatoes kind of Always Sunny.
Exactly, meat and potatoes. But yeah, B+.
This isn't your Friday night splurge meal date night thing.
Right.
No, this is like Tuesday or Wednesday. You just got to have something, and it's
it's
healthy,
fine.
it's tasty, nothing special. You're not going to tell anyone about it, but it gets the job done, and
Okay, with that, I think this is over.
All right, I will bid you adieu.
Bye.
Hasta luego. Somos extremos.
Brought to you by the Natty and Noon Network.